It's Sunday in South Carolina. Welcome to the Touchdowns 5 Points podcast presented by Harrison Williamson Cross Country Mortgage. We are the Dugas brothers. He is Thomas, I am Beck. And it's been a while since we've gone on here, Thomas. Longest gap we've had since we started. It's just been a crazy, it is March Madness, as they, if for all those who are watching the college basketball, it is March Madness, and we've just had conflicting schedules the past couple weeks, and there's a lot of things to talk about. This episode is going to be fun. Got some football news, got some baseball news, obviously, and also some women's basketball news to talk through. So we're going to start off with football, though. It is spring practice. The team is practicing as normal. For those that don't know, there is not going to be a spring game this spring due to the construction at Williams-Brice. So just going through practice and the motions, not much to report out of those practices, and we'll let the beat writers and the professionals speak to some of the stuff that's going on in the practices. But there's a really interesting story that just happened in recruiting. This kid, Neff Giwa, I hope I'm saying his name right. He is a offensive tackle prospect from Ireland, and he just committed to the Gamecocks today. And so this is a big recruiting story, but a unique one. And I'm going to tell you why, because this kid is, like I mentioned, from Ireland, not your typical recruiting story. And it's very interesting. Bruce Feldman, who's a college football writer, put out a story on this guy last week, and it was known that he was getting ready to commit to a school. And this is really interesting, Thomas. Reading this article, there's a guy, Brandon Collier, who runs Germany-based Premier Prospects International. And so this guy, Brandon Collier, has essentially sent over 100 kids from Europe into major college football programs. And he didn't discover this Neff Giwa guy. I think he has the reputation in Europe that people send prospects to him so that they can get to the next level. And this kid, Neff Giwa, was playing rugby. People might say, okay, like, he doesn't know how to play football, and that's true. He has never played a down of American football. He is a rugby player, and he's also played basketball, did track and field, played soccer from a young age. So I think we don't need to say this guy doesn't have brick for feet, as some offensive linemen tend to have, and you just recruit their size and stature. But they can't move. I don't think that's the case with this kid. He's 20 years old. His body's fully developed. He measured in at 6'7.5", 295 pounds. Arms were 37 inches long. Anything over 35 is considered exceptional for an NFL offensive tackle prospect. He also timed at 4.88 in the 40-yard dash and 9 feet 10 inches in the broad jump, which are also both elite for offensive tackle prospects. So this is a kid that I'm glad we're taking a swing, Thomas. This is the type of swing we have to take on a prospect that could end up being generational, but we would never know if we don't take the shot on him, especially at a position group where we desperately need something like this after the Josiah Thompson news, the Jacarius Peak news. I'm happy as hell that this has come to fruition. Miami, Coach Mario Cristobal was the first team to really notice him in the States. We quickly jumped into along with many other major college football programs. I mean, he went to Ohio State, Tennessee, Clemson, Miami. So this isn't a guy that we just saw on the internet and said, let's take a chance. There was real competition for this kid's services, and I'm excited as hell I'm excited as hell to see what he can do in the game of American football for the Gamecocks, and hopefully we can coach him up. What are your initial thoughts on this move, Thomas? And where do you see what are your hopes for Giwa? Because he's a member of this class, he'll be able to play this season upcoming. He technically counts for the 2026 class.
Yeah, so I don't know if we should expect him to be an immediate contributor. As you stated, he's never played football before. He's incredibly raw. I don't know what our staff expects his development timeline to be. But just touching on the measurables again, I really want to drive home for the listeners how unique of a physical specimen he is. 30, like you said, referencing the article, 35-inch arms is considered elite for an NFL offensive tackle prospect. 36 is even rarer. This guy having 37-inch arms is the equivalent of a receiver or a running back or a skill player running a low 4.3 40 or even a high 4.2. Like it is that hard to find humans with the frame that this guy possesses. You also stated he doesn't have bricks for feet. I did see a couple of videos posted by Brandon Collier, the guy that's, I guess, running these clinics for the European players. I think this guy moves incredibly well. I think that he is extremely athletic for someone who's 300 pounds, and he doesn't look 300 pounds. I'll be super curious to see where we want him to play, like what his play weight will be. Like, will we try to add weight to his frame? Do we want to leave him as he is? But yes, to your point, am I glad that we took this gamble? Because it is a gamble. When you have a guy that has no film, has never played, organized football, you can't just assume that it's going to work out perfectly. But it's a high risk, high reward type situation. And, if he never plays it down, I don't know how much, of the budget we're contributing to him. Like, it would be disappointing, but he literally, if everything goes right, he could literally be a top 10 draft pick. Like, he could be a first round, like he could be the first tackle taken whenever he leaves for the NFL. So, these are the type of things that we have to do from a personnel perspective to try and gain an edge on these other teams that we're chasing. So I love the play by the coaching staff. I'm super excited to see how it plays out. But this is something that I think that South Carolina fans should be incredibly excited about, but also know that, we're kind of already experiencing a similar situation with Nick Harbor. I think that, Nick was a 5-star, and that gave everybody certain expectations for how his career would go. And I think that if you poll most Gamecock fans, they would say that Nick's career has been disappointing so far. I'm really pleased with Nick as a player because, you know, I've seen him take strides forward each and every year. I think that he's going to take another step forward this year. I'm super excited to see him and the rest of the wide receiver core in our new offense. But like I knew going into it that Nick was going to be a project, and the 5-star rating that he held was because of his physical measurables. And if you really break down what the star ratings are supposed to mean. They are intended to project how likely a player is to make it to the NFL. And if you look at it through those lens, Nick is that and has always been that. It is common that if there's a player in high school that is already projecting very obviously to make it to the NFL, that's typically a player that's going to be a really good college player and make your team much better. But you know, a 5-star player in the high school rankings doesn't necessarily mean, hey, this player is going to come in and start day one, or hey, this player is going to come in and change your team's win-loss record day one. So, from that perspective, I think Neff is a 3-star, and I think that that's mainly just because people don't know what to do with him because he has no film. I think this kid's a 5-star. I think this, like, from the measurables alone, if he has a shred of, competitive edge, and if he's coachable, I think this kid's a freak. Like, I think if we have any sort of coaching on staff, this kid becomes an animal. And I mean, obviously he's serious enough about it to leave Ireland and come to America. And, like, as you said, other big programs were interested in him. Miami, Cristobal, O-line guy. They have an excellent O-line. They've had an excellent O-line. He was the O-line coach for Saban at Alabama. I trust his judgment in evaluating prospects on the O-line, and they wanted him as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think the haters are going to say, this is a risk. It's a gamble. This kid's never played before, but there were plenty of people that wanted him as well, and I'm super excited to see what happens with it.
Yeah, and I want to keep harping on the fact too that he's not just a rugby player, and rugby. I think it's great that he plays rugby too, because that brings the element of toughness into the equation, where you see a lot of these offensive linemen prospects that have always been bigger than everyone. And so they bully kids in high school just because they're bigger, and they get to the college game where there's equal, the DNs and the defensive tackles that they're going against are, they don't have the physical advantage anymore, and they get whooped because they don't have that natural dog mentality. And I think rugby is coming from rugby, that he's going to have that dog mentality. And then also the fact that he played soccer since age 4, and he was involved in the track and field team since he was 14 and played basketball. I mean, the article from Bruce Feldman literally quotes, he started playing basketball and that helped with his coordination. So I think all of these things are going to be beneficial to him. This isn't unheard of. The article also mentions that Giwa's biggest inspiration is Jordan Mailata, who many know is the offensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, won a Super Bowl with the Eagles on that stacked offensive line, blocking for Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. I mean, this guy, Jordan Mailata, grew up in Australia, and he was a rugby player. He's 6'8", 365, so maybe we could put some more pound. If you're looking at the Jordan Mailata as the inspiration, maybe we do want him to add some weight to his frame, and he can still be a productive player on the offensive line. I'm super excited about this kid. This is going to be something that could be, he could be a cornerstone of a great offense. Holding down the left side of the line or the right side, at one of the tackle positions. I just can't say anything else other than I'm excited as hell. And these are the types of swings that we have to take. We can't sit there and say, oh, this is too big of a risk, because to your point, if he ends up being a top 10 pick, it's all worth it. And because he's committed, I mean,
to
I
use a
think
foot
it's
to
big
use a
news.
football analogy or a sports analogy to frame how I feel about this, you know, you hear it a lot. People say, you know, we weren't playing to win, we were playing not to lose. You know, passing on this guy because of the uncertainties is, you know, recruiting not to lose. Taking a gamble on this kid is pushing your chips to the middle of the table and trying to put a team together to win.
Love that. I didn't catch the end of that spiel, Thomas. You're kind of choppy, honestly,
Okay,
on your
basically,
Wi-Fi.
to in case it was choppy for the listeners as well, you know, we have to take risk at South Carolina from a personnel standpoint to try and gain an edge. And if we were to have passed on this guy because we said, you know, we don't have enough tape to make an informed decision, that feels like to me playing not to lose versus, you know, taking a shot and trying to hit on a guy, you know, playing to win, recruiting to win.
Yeah. Cue up the Kenny Rogers. Beamer's got to take some gambles. He knows he's coaching for his job, and I love to see this type of move. And I'm glad we won. I like not just the fact that I would have been satisfied the fact we were involved and we were trying. The fact we won actually shows probably buy-in from administration, NIL, the coaching staff, players in the room when he came to visit. Like the fact we won shows a full team effort, and this is a huge story that I think we'll look back at this moment, hopefully, and when this kid is blossoming and say, I'm really glad we took this chance. So that's some positivity. That's outside of women's basketball, that's the first positive story I feel like we've talked about in the last 3 months. But
that's some Gamecock calories.
We are
baby.
a South Carolina podcast, so there's always negativity. So it is some Gamecock calories. There's always some negativity to follow the positivity, though. Well, actually, this might be a positive story. It depends on how you look at it. Paul Mainieri got the axe. So I'm actually thrilled about this story. And I just want to say we probably should have jumped on and done an episode right when he got fired, so we didn't dwell on it. But I was thinking about this, and I'm glad we waited because we got to hear about kind of the details of how this worked out. So for those that don't know, there was concern about a buyout, and Paul Mainieri's buyout was going to be $4.15 million if we canned him, and then if he left on his own accord, he was going to owe the university $4.15 million. So this situation and how it played out, mutually agreeing to part ways. Ultimately, the settlement was about $2.5 million for him to walk away. So those are the numbers. We all know about the actual product on the field, how atrocious it was, and Paul Mainieri had the nerve to say that South Carolina fans were impatient, which I want to say a lot of words about that comment particularly that I won't say, but I just kind of think like ultimately how I'll remember Paul Mainieri is you're a chode, dude. Like that's the easiest way to describe Paul Mainieri. He's a chode. He's a loser. I don't give a shit about his legacy and his Hall of Fame career before South Carolina. I hope everyone remembers him for being a scrub and the way he basically bottomed out the South Carolina program, and again could give two shits about his legacy. He won a national championship at LSU 20 years ago, but I'm so glad this experiment is over. And for him to say, I think fans were impatient. The whole reason you were hired, bro, is to have immediate success to then pass off a program in a better state to a younger guy. I mean, he was never going to be a long-term solution. He came out of retirement to do this. So I thought that was the most tone deaf, dumbass comment he could have made. I think his initial comments, I didn't have the program where I wanted it to be, and I feel like it's my time to step away. He should have left it there. But when he made those comments a couple days later, as he was probably collecting his $2.5 million get the fuck out of town check, whatever, man. I'm so glad this is over. And to all the people that are like, Monty Lee's going to juice the program, hell fucking no. We still lost the series to Arkansas. I know we got the Sunday game. We got smoked by UNC. We just got swept by Georgia. This program needs a complete overhaul. And I don't want to see really anyone from this existing team and program going into the future. A lot of people want the Coastal guy. It was very, very funny when Paul Mainieri stepped away. Coastal Carolina Twitter started freaking out. It's like, hey, there's nothing even going on yet, but they know that they were trying to defend their program, and they've definitely been a better program the past 10 years in the state. But we are still the number one program in the state. They definitely are the second best in the state for sure. But just the fact that they were up in arms when Paul Mainieri left, like, Kevin Schnall, he's not leaving. He's at a better program. It just shows that they're scared. And I would love to have Kevin Schnall. I'm not saying he's the end all be all. I know he's the number one candidate for a lot of folks out there, but there's a lot of good candidates, I think, that we can pick from, and hopefully we pick a good one, because that's been the problem for the baseball program. We haven't gotten the right guys since Ray left, and we've talked about it. Maybe Chad Holbrook was the right guy, and we just needed to wait, but we didn't. So we need to nail this hire, and we need to get the baseball program back on track, because everyone loves this this program has a lot of love in the Gamecock Nation, and we have everything to be a premier baseball program. I think it's going to help even more when we move to Nike. Baseball guys, don't come after me, but y'all are all about some swag, and I think being an Under Armour school was actually a disadvantage in baseball, probably in every sport actually.
It's a disadvantage across the board. It's a disadvantage across.
But yeah, I think Nike's gonna hopefully help revive all of our programs. I mean, I'm excited. We haven't talked about that yet. I'm sure we'll do an episode on it when it goes official in July. But I'm looking forward to seeing who we track down. But rest in piss, Paul Mainieri. See ya. Don't come near our baseball program. And honestly, Ray Tanner is. I don't even know, man. Ray just, I know we're paying him to sit on his ass too, but I can't wait till we stop paying him as well. But yeah, this baseball season's shot, but I'm glad we ripped the Band-Aid off and sent Mainieri home.
Yeah, I'm honestly disappointed we didn't really fight harder to make him pay us, but it is what it is. I mean, the dude, yeah, the South Carolina fans were impatient comment is Hall of Fame tone deaf quote, especially because in his opening presser he opened by saying that this wasn't a rebuild. Like, it's not even like, it's like you're the one that set these expectations, and like as you stated, like the whole concept of bringing him out of retirement was just to do a very quick injection, win immediately and pass the baton. You were just a transition guy. Like the notion that like we should have been on board for it to take this long and be this bad is ridiculous. Like, fuck this guy. Um, yeah, just absolute loser. And as far as the coastal coach goes, I'm honestly curious, like why we didn't look at him after Kingston. I don't know what has changed between now and then that now our job is more appealing to him if it wasn't the last time. Like but at the same time, like I wouldn't put it past Ray Tanner to have not even asked the coastal coach if he was interested. So who knows? Uh, but knowing how college coaching has been recently, I wouldn't be shocked if LSU just hires Kevin Schnall. They've already spent $60 million on coaching buyouts and new hires in the last 18 months. So why not just go for the trifecta? I mean, the hospital system was getting pretty inflated down there. So yeah, they'll probably just come over the top and take our first candidate, whoever that ends up being.
I mean, here's a tinfoil hat theory. Ray Tanner made he made bad hires on purpose because he didn't want anyone to surpass his legacy at South Carolina as a baseball coach. Could you see that? I mean, it's just a tinfoil theory.
Baseball,
but
then,
like,
why have none of his other hires been good either?
well, he was because it clouded his mind. He was so focused on like, all right, I got to make sure the baseball team doesn't accomplish anything better than what I did in my 15 years. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm going to be happy to see who Donati gets. This is a major move for Donati, and I know he's doing a lot of things on the administrative side, the Williams Bryce reimagination, but ultimately, I think this is athletics department 101. If you want to make money, you just need to put out a winner, and especially for a program like South Carolina that supports losers all too often. We are loyal to a fault, and that used to be our the S on our chest was like, hey, we were selling out our stadium when we were on a 21 game losing streak, like, and we did do that. But I mean, you look at Founders Park, people are fed up. I mean, people are fed up. The Arkansas series, I mean, some of these midweek games, I know the midweek games are tough, but typically, even for a game against PC on a Wednesday night, when the program is humming, we can get 6,000-7,000 people at Founders. I mean, there was maybe 60 or 70 people there the other night. So big time for Donati to make a splash and go get the right coach for baseball this summer. And hopefully we don't have to worry about football, and Beamer takes the reins back on the program, and we have a strong 2026, and we'll see about basketball. Again, we've already beat that drum probably too much with Lamont. It is what it is. He's staying. He's our coach, and it's time to invest in him. And it sounds like Donati is going to get the investment, and we'll see what Lamont can do next season. But we have finally gotten rid of PawPaw. So see you, PawPaw. It was a very, very what do the people always say? It's been real or whatever. It was not any of that. It was awful. So we're moving on from PawPaw, and this baseball season's cooked. But hopefully we get the right guy and bring some excitement back to the program. Let's end with women's basketball. Don and the ladies mowing through the NCAA tournament. I think we won the first two games in Columbia. I know we won the first game by like 70, and then I think we beat Southern Cal by 30 or 40. We beat Oklahoma last night by 25, and that was a team that upset us earlier in the year. So that's always nice to get a revenge game. I wish we would have been able to play Clemson in the second round, but Southern Cal was able to defeat Clemson to then get the privilege of losing to us. So the girls are looking great. I saw a stat. We scored 90 points in our first three NCAA tournament games, which we've never done. So Dawn continues to – you think the program's peaked, and she continues to reload and set new records and set new standards. So I think this TCU team is pretty good from what I've seen, and it'll be a tough test in the Elite Eight. But I mean the women's tournament is pretty chalky. We've been really running through it without challenge. So is UConn. So is UCLA. I saw Texas won by 20 yesterday as well against Kentucky. So it seems the four number one seeds are who we thought they were. And I think we'll get UConn, I believe, in the Final Four matchup, and then potentially Texas or UCLA. So, I mean, those could be two epic games in the Final Four, especially if we play Texas in the championship, if we can get by UConn. But, yeah, I mean, this team is awesome. I still think UConn is crazy respected as far as what Vegas thinks of them. I saw in a potential Final Four matchup with us, they would still be double-digit favorites over us. So I guess we can play the underdog role. It's not we're not necessarily used to that, but again, it's UConn, and they're kind of the standard, and we've almost reached them in the past 10 years, I would say. But they still are the standard, and that'll be a fun matchup for the women's Final Four. If we beat TCU tomorrow night, I think we play them at 9:30 for those that want to tune in and watch the game against TCU.
Yeah, so I've actually been able to catch a lot of these games because I've been at the bar with the whole March Madness setup on the TVs, and the women's tournament is pretty chalky. I think the number ones are just kind of in a different class. Virginia was the lowest seed that was still in it. They lost to TCU. Virginia was a 10 seed, but you do still have Notre Dame as a 6 seed alive for the Elite Eight. Our defense has just been absolutely suffocating teams in the first 3 rounds. Southern Cal didn't score a basket until like 7 minutes into the first quarter. Like we were up 13 or 15-0 before they got their first bucket. Very similar start to the Oklahoma game. I think we were up 11-0 before Oklahoma got their first bucket. And then Oklahoma did kind of get rolling offensively. We and Oklahoma both play pretty up-tempo, although it's interesting. They shoot a bunch of threes in transition, and we are like second or third in the country in transition twos. Like we push the ball and we push the pace in transition. I think we're both top 5 in transition scoring, but our field goal attempts made are all, twos. So, we push and we look to, get the ball up and attack the rim. whereas Oklahoma pushes and looks to get open looks from the 3-point line. But ironically, we started the game 5 from 7 from 3. I think we're averaging 3 or 6 threes a game. Like, we don't shoot a lot of threes. Like, we shoot a good percentage, but we don't do a ton of volume. But we came out of the gate super hot. I think that was one of the big factors that kind of allowed us to jump on Oklahoma. So, we have great bigs. Joyce Edwards, stud, and then Oda, the center we
Big
got
Mama.
from Mississippi State has really kind of
Big
come into
Mama.
our own. Like, something that they were discussing, the broadcast was just like her development from January until now. Like, when we lost to Oklahoma, she really wasn't the player that she has become. So like we're really kind of peaking at the right time. I know that UConn's UConn and like Gino is Gino, but from me watching our games, like it's really hard to see anybody beating us when we're playing the way that we're playing right now. So I expect us to kind of handle TCU respectfully. All respect to TCU, but I don't think they can. I don't think they match up with us. But UConn in the Final Four will be. I think that's the national championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's why that SEC championship was so important
Yeah.
that we ended up losing to Texas, because now you got to play you don't get to play UConn in the final game. You have to play them to get to the final game, and whoever. I mean, I do agree with you. I think UConn's the best team in the country, and so beating them you would think would give you the confidence to think you can go beat anyone, but you still have to do it. People have, shooters have off nights. The ball bounces one way off a rebound. Things can happen, as we know in all sports, and so sometimes it's just not your night. So I do think it's important. That was important, and so it's just going to make it a little bit tougher for us. But I think these girls are up to the challenge, and I know a lot of eyes will be on the Final Four. I think it could end up being 4 number 1 seeds, and that that'll be. I mean, on the men's side, it's looking like it's going to be entertaining as well. So I think we're going to get an epic weekend of basketball next weekend with both men's and women's Final Fours, and not quite as epic as 2017 when South Carolina was in both the men's and women's, and we actually won the national championship that year in the women's. But it'll be good appointment viewing next week for men's and women's college basketball. So go Dawn, go Lady Gamecocks, and we want to see them take it all the way. That's gonna kind of wrap this episode. I know we took 2 weeks off, so apologies for those that have been looking for us and wanting to hear about some of the ongoings that have been happening around Gamecock sports and the college athletic landscape in general. But we need to get more consistent, and we vow to do that. So we'll work on getting back to our normal at least once a week with releasing episodes, and hopefully have some good content ideas coming down the pipe. But please go on YouTube and subscribe. Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please hit subscribe on those platforms. We're on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Touchdowns 5 Points. We appreciate everyone who listens or watches, and hit us with a comment or anything y'all are interested in hearing us talk about potentially. We'd love to hear y'all's ideas for any show ideas. So with that, kind of wrap on this one. Big offensive tackle recruit. Write this date down because it might not be that he really contributes this upcoming season, but this could be a kind of one of those moments we look back on and say, "Holy shit! I'm glad we made that made that investment and went for it and took a risk to make our program better."
I'm going to go ahead and give my official prediction that he does not play this year, but I think that in 2027, if we don't blow everything up after how this year goes, he will be the starting left tackle and Josiah Thompson will be the starting right.
There you go. We'll see how it plays out. I like that prediction. Paul's gone. Support the players. I think for the baseball program, keep supporting them. I know it's pretty much a dead season, but hopefully we can string together a couple wins. But I'm just glad to see Paul gone. Women's basketball, we play tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern against TCU. Cheer on the Gamecocks in that game, and it's setting up for an epic clash in the Final Four with UConn first. So that's going to be a wrap on this episode. As always, go Cox.
Go Cox.